Missoula County acknowledges that this event takes place on the Aboriginal territories of the Salish and Kalispel people. Violet, can you show us the flag and we'll. Great, thanks. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everyone. Do we have any public announcements? Public comment on items not on the agenda? And then it looks like as people are coming on, you might want to take your video off and mute yourself. It'll be easier. There you go. And okay, again, any public comment on items not on the agenda? Okay, our current claims list received as of January 19th to February 1st, 2022 is $2,924,387.29. We have 4 hearings this afternoon, or rather 4 resolutions. And we'll start off with Karen Hughes, breaking ground. We're finally here.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is a request to approve and adopt a resolution to adopt the Missoula County Housing Action Plan, Breaking Ground, as an issue plan of the Missoula County Growth Policy. This is the last step in the policy adoption process. As you know, this project became started about a year ago with a whole public process to develop a plan to address the housing affordability challenges that the community has faced, especially in the last few years, and where we're at an undersupply of about 2,400 units. This plan is an effort to identify the best roles and opportunities for the county to help ease the shortage of housing units, especially for those affordable to people with low to moderate incomes. So the process that we've gone through, in addition to the public process to create the plan, is that the planning board held their public hearing on December 7th. They unanimously found it to be in conformance with the growth policy and recommended it for adoption as an issue plan. You held a public hearing on January 13th and considered public comment and the recommendation of the planning board. You adopted a resolution of intent to adopt the housing action plan as an issue plan, and then this is the final step, the resolution to adopt. We have received one public comment, which was forwarded to the commissioners and included in your packets, a letter of support. And I believe there are people, although this isn't a public hearing, I believe there are people that may be interested in providing comment on this action item. And so I don't have any other comments other than the staff recommends approval of the resolution to adopt, and we're happy to answer questions. Is also on the line to help answer any questions you may have.
I'm sorry, you cut out. Karen, who did you say was also on the line?
I believe Melissa Gordon is on the line to help answer questions. Sorry.
Great. Should we go into public comment now? Is there anyone else from staff who wants to present or add anything to this? Okay.
Yeah, that's it for presentation.
Great. Well, let's go into public comment. Is there any public comment on this resolution to adopt our breaking ground? Let's see here. Looks like Blaine Doherty, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Okay.
Hi, it sounds like y'all can hear me.
Yes.
Hey, commissioners. I realize I'm pretty late to the party here, and I think the adoption of the resolution is awesome. The kind of piece that I wanted to throw in is in looking at the plan right now, I wasn't seeing anything that expressly focused resources on Indigenous population within Missoula County. And I think one of the things that I would want to see in the future going forward is that express resources, monies, and policies are set aside to explicitly support Indigenous folks seeking housing, seeking to buy housing and buy land. And also maybe that's just like a general question to folks. Like, I looked over it as much as I could, and maybe there's already pieces in there, and maybe Karen could speak to that. But that's kind of the piece that I wanted to add, just going forward in the future.
Yeah, thanks. That's great comments, Blaine.
There you go. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I guess, yeah, Karen, do you have anything to add?
I don't at the moment, but maybe go through all the public comment, and if there's anything you want me to follow on after.
Great. Go ahead and use the raise hand function of Microsoft Teams, or if you're on the phone, do we not have anyone on the phone? Is that what?
We do.
I see a couple phone callers, Juan, and they'll just have to hit *6 to unmute if they want to give comment.
Thanks, I scrolled by those. *6. Okay, I don't see anything. I guess, Karen, do you have anything for Blaine?
So I don't think we have specific elements focused on Indigenous populations. I would say that all of the elements are focused on, as you know, helping increase housing production and supporting programs and funding to help county residents in general, especially people who are low to moderate income households, afford housing, and building implementation capacity to kind of better coverage all of the housing needs. So it will generally address Indigenous populations, but there aren't specific elements. It's a really great point, and probably something we should explore further about what specific types of efforts we should be making to help Indigenous populations in the community. So that's certainly something we can do through implementation.
Could I add a piece of clarification? Yeah. I really appreciate that information, Karen. I think that the piece to clarify for myself as well is, like, I think my desire also stems from a place of wanting to see these resources as a tool for like reconciliation. And so it like feels like it exists in addition to those resources already outlined in the plan, because it's not specifically like it's what am I trying to say? It's like it's also hopefully this piece that's in addition to what everyone else is already getting kind of uniformly. And so that's also a piece of my desire, is to see the county through our policies and actions and resources starting to provide basically money and land back to Indigenous peoples through those policies as a process of reconciliation for colonization. And so that's also the framework that I'm coming from, to add that piece as well. So
Sure.
Yeah.
Thanks for that clarification.
But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and just so you know, this is like our starting point. This is the first point. And the idea is that we will do our best to work on this and take in additional information as we go. So this is really great comment for us to be thinking about and bringing that lens to it. But we will be updating this with regularity so that we are keeping it fresh and bringing in new ideas and being more specific and intentional about the range of things that we do. So I really appreciate the comments, and I think we can build that into the implementation and hopefully more explicitly bring that forward in updates in addition to the work that we go through to implement it.
Thanks. Juan, could I add something on there?
Yep.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate, because Karen, you said that really well. I just want to emphasize nothing new here, but what you just said, this is a starting point and by no means the end point. This is where we are beginning to attempt to address this really comprehensive housing issue with some focused effort. And we are going to apply all the creativity and resources we can bear to begin to address this seemingly intractable problem. And I'll blame the populations you identified and the problems you identified, yes, need to be dealt with, and the really areas we should be looking at as we grow this into something more effective. Something effective. It's yet to begin. It's just a starting point. Thanks.
Yeah. Any further comments here? I'm gonna close the public comments portion now. Okay, commissioners.
All right. Well, I will, if it's appropriate, Chairwoman Vero, I'll go ahead and make a motion. I would move that we approve and adopt a resolution to adopt the Missoula County Housing Action Plan, breaking ground as an issue plan of the Missoula County Growth Policy.
I will second that.
Any further comment?
And I will just say, Josh is spot on. This is not an end unto itself. It's a means to an end. It's but one step. And I fully anticipate that as we roll out implementation, everything that we do should be done with an eye towards justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. So I'm happy to support this.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. On to just page 16, the action items. Okay, thanks so much, Karen. Next we have the long-range transportation plan. Is you again, Karen? Sorry, I thought.
Yeah, it's me again. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So this is a request to approve and adopt a resolution to adopt the long-range transportation plan as an issue plan of the Missoula County Growth Policy. Same concept. You have been through this is the final step in the process. Actually, this process has been even longer for the long-range transportation plan. The governing body that adopts the transportation plan is the Transportation Policy Coordinating Committee, and they adopted it I think back in 2021. This is the every 4 years, every 5 years, the Missoula Planning, or the Metropolitan Planning Organization of Missoula develops and updates the long-range transportation plan. It's fiscally constrained, sets priorities for transportation improvements, for services for the community. They also ask, in addition to having it adopted through the Transportation Policy Coordinating Committee, they ask that it be adopted as an issue plan to help guide both city and county policy. The planning board held their hearing on September 7th. The commissioners held their hearing in December to adopt a resolution of intent. And so this is your final action, your resolution to adopt. And I believe that John San is on the line should you have questions more specifically regarding the plan. That's all I have for the presentation.
Okay, thanks. John, do you have anything to add?
I don't. Karen gave a great overview of that. In addition to Planning Board and the Transportation Policy Coordinating Committee, this has been approved and reviewed by FTA, the Federal Highway Administration, Federal Transit Administration, and as well as Missoula City Council adopted this as an issue plan to their growth policy in October. So this is the final step.
Thanks. Is there any public comment on long-range transportation plan? Okay, we'll close public comment. Commissioners?
Well, given that it's the 11th hour and this is the final step, I think we should put a stick in the spokes of this turning wheel and grind this bugger to a halt and begin again. Goodness sakes.
Jeez, yeah. What are they thinking, leaving us to the very end like this?
Oh no. All right. I'm. Well, actually, before I offer this motion, Karen, I know that you wear many hats in this, so you may not be the person to answer this, and if not, that's totally fine. But if you are, just for all the people interested, what's a highlight of this long-range transportation plan? What's something that we're really excited about?
John, I think you would probably be better at answering this. I mean, I think bringing in equity and matching up this plan with our climate goals, like that, we've really done some additional thinking, and then achieving our multimodal goals. Like, I think these are really big things for the community. But
Yeah,
John,
John,
have
yeah.
answers.
John has anything, please.
Yeah, in addition to that, we had a really great community input process to really refine our goals, which, as Karen mentioned, really do align with city and county climate goals. And then another exciting component is the programs and policies part of the plan. Typically, well, the requirements for long-range transportation plans typically is just like a project list, and it needs to be fiscally constrained. And this was the first LRTP I've been fortunate enough to work on, but I believe it was the most robust as far as policy programs, just discussing components like emerging mobility, keeping an eye out on electric vehicles and charging opportunities, and of course, passenger rail, all these really new exciting things that are on the horizon.
What did the
Get in on a good one.
Yeah. What did the public input process look like? Part of the process look like?
Well, we started that about 2 weeks before COVID. So we did have one in-person event at First Friday, a couple hundred people in attendance, and that was the history of transportation exhibit. So kind of looking back while we look forward to 2050. So that was a really fun event. And then everything kind of went virtual and handouts. We worked with the food bank a lot, getting them materials that they could put out in their distribution boxes. A lot of online stuff, Zoom meetings. So I'm looking forward to the next one being a more typical process. But
I would give huge kudos to the MPO team. Like, I've been through too many transportation plans to count at this point. The last 3, each time I'm like, they're not going to top themselves, and they have. Like, this is by far the best, not just process, but they're really thinking towards outcomes oriented planning, and I think it's really, and thinking about how the transportation system fits in with the rest of the context. The land, understanding the land use transportation connection is really key to this. Not necessarily supported always by the State Department of Transportation. They see that they have a more constrained view of that, but this team locally is really awesome at taking all these factors into account and really being thoughtful.
Great, thanks. Well, Juan, I'm ready to make a motion if you're ready to have one.
That's fantastic. I wasn't sure if Ron Ewert was on for this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I think he.
Hi, I'm on.
No, all good, all good. Go ahead, Josh.
Thanks. All right, I would move we approve and adopt a resolution to adopt the long-range transportation plan as an issue plan of the Missoula County Growth Policy.
I'll second that.
Any further comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Well done. Glad we can finally, we're done here.
I thought for a second Ron was going to propose a phasing plan for the long.
Just one more.
Come on.
That would be great. That would be really great. 2036, we will move phase 6 to move phase 8.
Okay,
We have an improvements agreement. It's all good.
it's all good.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, let's talk about O'Keefe Ranch Estates subdivision maintenance, or rather maintenance of the park.
Yes. Hi, commissioners. Give me 1 second to pull up my presentation here. You get too many screens and things open. It's hard to do it quickly. Okay, can you guys see my presentation? Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, and I will admit that it is a very short presentation, only a couple slides, so leaving more room for questions and discussion if needed. So we are going to discuss the O'Keefe Ranch Estates RSID, or Rural Special Improvement Agreement. Oops. Okay. So this is the subject property outlined in red. It's out there at the Y interchange. Here, I'll turn my laser pointer on. So here's the Y interchange. Waldo Road is right here. And so this is the proposed preliminary, or the proposed property for the O'Keefe Ranch Estate subdivision. This subdivision was originally approved back in October of 2005. It was subject to 27 conditions. It's 197 lots on around 80 acres. There was some recent phasing plan amendments, extension, modification. I mean, there's been a number of things happening the past couple years on this property, so I know you guys have seen a number of things. The main takeaways are there is a total of 8 phases. The first phase has a deadline to file their final plat by October of 2022, so this year. And then the last phases 6, 7, and 8 actually don't expire until 2031. But one of the conditions of the subdivision approval, condition number 6, requires that the subdivider submit a petition to Missoula County for the creation of a rural special improvement district for park maintenance prior to final plat of phase 1. So that's why we're here. This is the proposed park. So you can see here's phase 1 here. Phase 2 has a small part of the park. Phase 3 is this bluish color down here. And then phase 4 really has the majority of the park. And that's why as part of the RSID, the assessments, really won't happen until phase 4 is platted, till the park is complete. So that homeowners, in phase 1 aren't going to be having to pay assessments for a park that isn't even part of the platted subdivision at that time. So to meet their parkland dedication with subdivision, they proposed this 10.2 acres of parkland dedication. Montana state law does allow the county commissioners to create a rural improvement district upon receipt of the petition that contains consent of all of the property owners in the district. At this point, there's one property owner that owns the entire property that will have this subdivision, and they have submitted that petition and signed it. So it does appear that the petition complies with state law and with the and it is in accordance with state statutes. And so I have a proposed motion, and I know Juniper is on the line, Ron's on the line. We can definitely go into more detail if you guys have more questions on the resolution or the petition itself as well. I don't know, Ron, if you had anything you wanted to add, or Juniper, either.
I don't have anything at this time.
Juniper?
Just here to answer any questions that might be needed.
And just for the record, Juan, can I ask one?
Yeah.
Just for all the people listening, who's going to build this park?
Do you want me to answer that?
Yes, please.
Okay, sure. So this will be built by the developer of the subdivision. The reason that the park was divided up into different parts and not all in one is because we have to have a certain amount of parkland dedication per phase. So the plan is to move forward as quickly as possible with phase 2, with phase 3, with phase 4. I mean, they got their momentum going, and they want to, not take their time building this out. So I would think that the park might be built, maybe 2023 is what I'm guessing, but I'm not exactly sure. We have hired a landscape architect. Her name is Jessica Holdren, and we've been working with her, doing a lot of planning for the park. And I think it'll be a very good addition to the area, and it's going to be available, obviously, to everyone in Missoula County, or everyone, wherever they may be, can come here and play. And but it is being financed by the developer, and it'll be maintained by the owners of this subdivision. They also have to maintain the other common areas and so on. So this was quite an ordeal. I worked closely with Juniper and Bailey over the past, well, we started in October with this. So at least now there's a template, so to speak, that, if we do this again, we can look back on this and see how it was done in this case. A lot of trial and error, but I think we came to a good place. I personally feel that $12,000 a year is a little high, but I guess that can always be adjusted if needed. So, but I think it will be a very nice park and in a good location where people need recreation opportunities.
Thanks. Juniper?
Yeah, thanks, Ron. I really appreciate that. And we feel the same way. We've really enjoyed working with you and being able to build out the plans for the park. And I just wanted to make one point of clarification. Ron said that the homeowners will be maintaining the park. One clarification there is that through the RSID assessments, they will be paying for the maintenance of the park, but the homeowners association themselves will not be in charge of providing that maintenance. So that will be done by our program, either through contracted services or through existing staff or future staff that we might have to help support that.
Juan, could I do one more?
Yep.
Thanks. This is a question for you, Ron. As you know, we're in quite a dire housing situation here in Missoula County, and there may be people listening in on this, maybe members of the media that would see this and say, 2005, oh my goodness, Missoula County sure is slow getting these things done. Could you speak to why, since this was approved in 2005, and here we are and still talking about it without houses on the ground yet?
Yes. So this project went through a number of owners, engineering firms. It just sort of, it's just the way things happen to develop over time. I think if there's any so blame, if you want to call it that, it would be on the private sector, because we took our time figuring things out, and there was a lot of different changes that were made, at least player wise, the people that were involved with this and so on. We made a lot of what could be seen as minor changes, and I think the county worked, the planning staff and commissioners worked well with us as far as figuring out the best way to make these changes, because things do change over time, and the person that purchased the property and the people that we're working with are not the same as obviously that were in the beginning. So they had some different ideas, but nothing radically different. So all I can say is we're going to make sure that this gets developed as quickly as possible.
Great. I'm really glad to hear that. And thanks for sticking with it.
Oh, you bet. Thank you.
Well, is there any further comment on this? Okay, we'll close public comment. Is there anything you want to add, Josh or Dave?
Nope. This seems pretty straightforward, and I'm glad that we're able to get this in place. So I'd move that we approve and adopt a resolution to create a rural special improvement district and maintenance fund for the O'Keefe Ranch Estates Subdivision Park.
I'll second that.
Any further comment? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Fantastic.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you so much, Bailey.
Thanks,
Ron.
thanks, Ron. Thanks, Bailey. Thanks, Juniper.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay, moving on to our last resolution for Cpace. Diana.
Thank you, commissioners. I am going to bring up just a few slides here to present this item. So bear with me just one second. All right, are we seeing that?
Looks good.
Yeah, nice logo.
Nice logo, right?
Sure is. Well, thank you again, commissioners, and I'm excited to be here to introduce this item, a resolution of intent to create the Missoula County Commercial Property Assessed Capital Enhancement, or Cpace program. So again, just a little bit of background and what Cpace is here to start us off. So what is Cpace? Essentially, as it says on the screen here, it's an innovative mechanism that allows commercial property owners to finance energy conservation or renewable energy improvements and pay back the cost of those improvements through an assessment on their property taxes. It says innovative here, though I don't mean new by that, because this is a model that exists in most states in the country and has been around for over a decade. So this is a map put out by Pace Nation, which is an organization that tracks these programs, shows all of the states that have enabled PACE programs and the states in which those programs are currently active. Under development in Montana, I think we're just on the verge of turning dark green here as we go active with this program. So in terms of the process that has unfolded at the state level, this started with the state legislature passing the Cpace Act this last legislative session in 2021. I just have the citation there. If folks want to take a look at the law. As part of that bill, the legislature directed the Montana Facility Finance Authority, which is a state agency, to develop guidelines for the program, which MFFA did over the last several months. And I really want to give a shout out to MFFA. They did a tremendous effort in a short period of time involving a number of stakeholders and developed really robust guidelines for this program, and will be administering the program. So while, as I'll mention in a second here, this has to be authorized at the local level, the capacity and time to administer it is something that is going to happen at the state level through MFFA. And I have the the URL there, lastbestpace.com, which is the MFFA's website for this program. So now that Cpace has been enabled at the state level, the steps are as shown here. Local governments need to create Cpace districts, which is what we're talking about right now here for Missoula County. Once that district has been created, then commercial building owners have the opportunity, this is totally voluntary on their part, but have the opportunity to evaluate and select energy saving projects, then to work with a private lender to finance those projects, at which point the local government would add that assessment, in this case Missoula County, add that to the tax rolls, and the building owner will pay back the cost of that as an assessment on their property taxes for up to 20 years, and at the same time be realizing savings from the energy improvements. And the way that the program guidelines are established, it's actually required that the savings exceed the cost. So there's a net financial benefit to participating business owners from the beginning. And so just to be a little more clear about a few benefits of Cpace, including the one I just mentioned, but it's a way for those commercial property owners to invest in energy conservation and renewable energy upgrades without an upfront cost, because of that requirement that savings exceed the payment obligations. It's cash positive. It can increase property values for those commercial properties, reduce energy use and emissions, and therefore help advance our goals of addressing climate change and achieving 100% clean electricity. Can create job opportunities for local contractors to actually implement these energy improvements. An interesting thing about Cpace versus, say, a property owner just going to get a loan for this type of improvement is that because that assessment is tied to the property through property taxes, it isn't tied to the property owner themselves. And so a property owner who may not be sure that they're going to be owning that property for the next 10 or 20 years doesn't have to worry about not being able to take advantage of the full savings from that investment, again, because it will stay with the property if the property is sold. And finally, an advantage is that banks may be able to offer lower interest rates for these projects because of this tie to property tax assessment. So in the Montana Cpace program, eligible properties include commercial, industrial, agricultural, nonprofit, and multifamily properties. So residential properties smaller than 4 units are not eligible for this. Properties owned by government are not eligible for this. Types of projects that are eligible include basically, I believe, anything that will save energy or save water in the building, for the most part. But for example, that would include high efficiency heating and cooling systems, lighting upgrades, insulation upgrades, water conservation improvements, renewable energy systems like solar, and also EV charging infrastructure is specifically called out. So in terms of the process here for Missoula County, again, this is authorized by the state, but has to be enabled at the local level. So today, the commissioners are considering this resolution of intent to create a Cpace district. There will be a subsequent meeting if that resolution of intent is approved, subsequent meeting in 2 weeks on February 24th to consider the resolution itself to create the Cpace district. I'm gonna stop sharing there because I think that's my last slide, and just let the commissioners know the county did receive one written comment in favor of the creation of this Cpace district, which has been passed along to the commissioners. I believe there are folks on the line who may be hoping to offer comments as well. And I do want to also mention that we've got Tyler Gernant, I believe, is here, who can speak to Cpace, particularly from that perspective of how it works with the property tax system. And then we also have, I think, Seth Lutter is on the line from the Montana Facility Finance Authority, who's really a great resource and can answer, may wish to speak to it and answer questions about it. So with that, I will stop my presentation.
Thanks so much, Diana. Well, Tyler, this has been a long time coming. Go ahead.
It has, and I think commissioners, you're aware of how long this has taken in terms of the legislative part of it. This was a program that was proposed many sessions ago and has undergone a bunch of changes to get to where we are today. I think some of those changes have been really positive. In particular, one of them is the initial programs really put a lot of the burden on local governments to develop the program and implement it. And I will say now that we're, quite deep into the process of creating one of these, having MFFA at the helm has been really helpful. They've proven to be a very, very reliable and helpful partner in getting this off the ground. So our role as the county, Diana, certainly her shop will have a role in this. Our shop, in terms of putting it on the tax bills, the role is pretty limited, and it will utilize very few resources, I would say, of the county to accomplish some pretty substantial goals for the community. And so I think this is a fantastic program that we ought to adopt, and I'm super glad that we are finally at a place where we can adopt it.
Great. Seth, do you have anything to add?
Just good afternoon, commissioners. So I am the Associate Director of the Montana Facility Finance Authority. We are at MFFA, we are the statewide administrators. Like Tyler mentioned, we will be the ones basically refereeing the entire program statewide. Missoula County is the first county that is going through this process, so we're very excited that Missoula County is doing that. But I'm available for any questions if anybody has any, but I'll just leave it up to everybody else.
Okay, thanks. Looks like Kelly Littleton has a hand raised.
Hi, yes. Hi, commissioners. Again, my name is Kelly Littleton, and I'm the program director at Climate Smart Missoula. I just have a few quick comments. In general, we're really excited to offer our support for establishing Cpace in Missoula County. Climate Smart is working to make progress on our Buildings for the Future program, which is focused on decarbonizing the built environment through energy efficiency, renewable energy systems, and building electrification. So through this program, we frequently hear from developers, designers, builders, and other community partners that financing options like Cpace are really critical to this work. In fact, we've recently heard from folks at NeighborWorks Montana who reached out to express interest in using Cpace for some of their low-income housing projects. So just in general, thank you for making Cpace happen in Missoula, and we look forward to helping you bring new projects forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Herending.
Hello, thank you. So I am Paul Herending. I'm the Director of Impact Market Development at Clearwater Credit Union. Just wanted to say that speaking from the financial industry side, we see a lot of potential here for Cpace to accelerate clean energy adoption in the county. And we're certainly very interested in being a financing partner for those projects. And we encourage the commissioners to pass this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Is Violet, I'm sorry, I can't see if there's anyone
no
else.
Problem. Looks like there's a couple phone callers, and if they want to comment, they'll just have to hit *6 on their keypads and let us know.
Okay. I mean, Amy Sillenberg. Come on. She's not taking the bait. Okay. Executive Director of Climate Smart. Anyways,
can you
yeah, Dave, go ahead.
Oh, someone else. Oh, she took the bait.
She did.
I just wanted to say thank you. This is wonderful. I'm happy to comment, but Kelly said it all from Climate Smart. So I'm just here to cheer you guys on. And I will say, you know, Tyler and Seth, I'm also grateful for work beyond the commissioners that you folks will both do to make this happen. So thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? I just tried to unmute from the phone.
Oh, yes, you did. Go ahead and state your name for the record. Yeah.
Yes, my name is Jill Demers. I'm with Rewild Ranch. We're a regenerative agricultural demonstration center and eco lodge. We're brand new and we're building out in Alberton. And I'm curious, and I don't know if this question would go to Tyler or not, but you mentioned net positive in terms for the overall use, I guess, for the loans for a business. Would that include interest rates for the financing? So would it be net positive overall or just a net positive for use?
I'm actually going to throw that to Seth because I think Seth will have the best answer.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, yes, interest rates, any fees that might be attached to it as well can all be rolled into the financing, and all of that together as one lump sum is needed to be net positive or net neutral at least.
Okay, and would that just be for solar projects or also for other projects for water conservation like gray water systems or even black water systems?
For all of them combined. So like I know that there's some upgrades, for instance, let's say if you're going to do like window upgrades where, you know, you don't really save a lot when you do a window upgrade, but you save a lot when you do LED lighting. All of it can be combined into like an aggregate project, and that aggregate project has to be net neutral going forward. So all of it combined together. So solar's in there, and then water consumption as well.
Okay, and my last question is there someone working either with the county or with this particular offering, I guess, that can consult and direct business owners? Since it is relatively new, it seems like there would be a lot of questions. Is there like a point person to contact?
That would be me.
Seth is raising his hand on the phone. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Oh, right over here. So, yeah, my name is Seth Lutter, and I don't know the best way of giving out contacts, but email-wise, it's seth.lutter@mt.gov, and send me any questions that you have. Let's get on phone calls. It's not a problem at all.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, commissioners.
Thanks, Jill. And Lutter is, how do you spell it? L-U-T-T-E-R?
You got it. Yep.
I don't see, yeah, my screen is cut in half and for whatever reason, I can't see everyone.
It is Seth.Lutter, L-U-T-T-E-R @mt.gov.
And Jill, if you have any problems, you can just call the county. We'll get you to the right person. Okay, any other comments? Okay, we'll close this then. Commissioners?
Yeah, Juan, I've got some if you're okay with it.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. This is Josh. So first, I want to say huge thanks to Tyler and Diana. I think I first heard about this from Tyler almost 3 years ago, and he'd been after it for a couple of years back then. So this is the result of some relentless effort and can-do spirit and not giving up. And we really, really appreciate that, Tyler. So thank you. And huge kudos to Diana for figuring out this from a technical perspective. We are yet again the first county in the state to do this. That means Diana had an uphill road to climb as well. And we are at Missoula County are super fortunate to get to work with people like Tyler and Diana. Now my question. So Seth, for the dozens, and I mean dozens of folks listening at home, what does net neutral mean? And then the second question is, given that a person who would, let's say, go to a bank, get a loan, and then work through Cpace to do this, it would seem that the county and the kind of the full faith and credit of the county and our ability to collect taxes backs up that loan in a way that a person's job or income doesn't. Does that mean that folks who take advantage of Cpace might be able to get a lower interest rate than somebody who is just going to a bank, even if it's a really wonderful bank like Clearwater, to get a straight up loan? So net neutral and interest rate for the questions.
Perfect. No, I appreciate that, Commissioner. So in regards to net neutral, what that means is the amount of savings on the loan has to equal or be greater than the annual payment for the upgrades. So while they're, let's say, for instance, they do upgrades on a building, and just for sake, let's say it's $100,000 and it is $5,000 a year that they have to pay on it. That means that the savings of those energy upgrades have to equal or be greater than that payment. Yep. And you're welcome. And the question about the interest rate, being that the collateral position is actually on the property itself, it allows the lenders a lot more security. So due to that security, and it's not to, let's say, for instance, there's a small business in town and maybe he's looking at retiring soon, or he's been doing it for a long time. A bank might not want to lend to that person because they know that they're going to retire soon. Where this is attached to the property and not the business owner themselves, it can get on the property. They can get a 20-year term at a lower interest rate, not having to worry that the business owner might be retiring soon, because it follows the property itself. And so the next buyer has that property. It's not the business. So that's why the collateral and the security is a lot better on this than a traditional mortgage, traditional loans.
Dave?
Yeah. Thanks, Diana, and thanks, Tyler, for all of your work. I'll echo Josh's comments earlier. Thanks also to the Montana legislature. Those are a couple terms, thanks and legislature, that I rarely say in the same sentence, but in this case, and it was not an easy lift to even get this over the finish line, but it did come to pass. So thank you, Montana legislature and legislators who supported this. Question for you, Seth. So I have a commercial property. I want to put solar panels or whatever on my property to realize energy efficiency. I go to one of my local lenders. At what point, and just help me understand where MFFA comes in at that point.
Perfect. So we have an application that a commercial property owner needs to fill out on our website, lastbestpace.com. And that way it gets the ball rolling on our side, on the state side. If somebody goes to a bank, they might not know what Cpace is yet. That's also what we're here for. We're here for the education. We're here to make sure that we have as many lenders signed up and knowledgeable about this as possible. If you do go to a lender that does know about Cpace, they know us, they're probably going to contact us. We've already had a few lenders reach out to us and say, we have a project in this county. Is the county set up yet? And that's what our job is to make sure that the counties are set up, to make sure that the borrower knows what Cpace is, to make sure that lenders know what it is, and also to put that tax assessment on the property. So we are a huge point of contact and a referral system for all of these different parties together, including like if you're looking at getting solar on a commercial building, we can also direct you to solar installers or engineers that do energy audits on buildings to make sure that you're doing the right and the appropriate energy audits for the type of building that you have.
Great, thank you.
Tyler, did you want to add anything?
No, I think Seth very well covers it. As usual, Seth's MFFA has done a tremendous amount of work on this, and Seth has more knowledge than I think I could ever dream of having on this subject. So I'm so thankful for your guys' help on this.
I would like to add one last thing as well, is we had working groups. We had multiple working groups of 55 people. We probably had 24 meetings with different groups. One specifically focused on agriculture, one specifically focused on multifamily housing, one specific for construction. So the building of the program guidelines, like was referenced earlier, was from all the different input of over 55 individuals, professionals, and businesses to build Cpace to what Montana businesses and citizens really want.
Fantastic, and thanks for that explanation. So do we have projects not lining up here? Like, so in 2 weeks we get to do this, and then what happens?
So it's funny because I did a presentation on Cpace this morning, and I was counting because I think it's been active. It's been launched now for 39 days. So and I have tons of people saying, "Hey, is the Cpace district built yet?" And I'm like, "Hold, it's been 39 days. So hold your horses, please." But obviously, talk about Missoula County jumping in. We have, I want to say, 10 different projects that have come to us in the past 3 weeks that are saying, is Cpace available? We have interest. So collectively, right now, we have 13 counties that are in the pipeline, and we have 10 projects in different counties that have talked to us and said, we're interested in doing this. And these projects came to us from either the business owner or the lender. So both parties are coming to us saying that we have projects coming. So it's happening. We're excited about it.
I have one more question, if possible.
Yeah.
Seth, how about scale? Is there a too small? Is there a too big?
So on the national side, we've talked to numerous other PACE administrators, statewide PACE administrators, and too small, it seems like anything under like 50,000, like 50 kind of seems like really the smallest, just because of fees and interest rates, the ability of being net neutral, being able to actually get more savings than cost is really slim at that point. But there's projects out there, specifically solar is around that size, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, a ton of solar that we've seen. But also some of the projects that have come to us have been collective projects of $24 million, where Cpace is a $4 million sliver. I mean, it's not small projects either. These are new construction, so it can be brand new apartment buildings, hotels, but also retrofits. And this is really what's exciting to us is, you go down any main street, you see all these old brick buildings that are heating the outside just as much as they're heating the inside of the building. Mm. And these are the kind of buildings that we can see just going gangbusters with getting energy efficiency upgrades. So it can be new construction, big projects. It can be mom and pop shops that just want a $50,000 solar system on their roof to just lower the energy costs.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Any further comments? Okay.
All right, Juan, I would move that we adopt the resolution of intent to establish a countywide commercial property assessed capital enhancements Cpace program.
I'll second that.
Oops, any further comment? Okay. Tip of the spear. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. That concludes our public meeting. Thank you, everyone. I wish we had, champagne and confetti. This is fantastic.
We can save that for the 24th.
Okay, good point. Well, we'll do that. Okay, take care, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Goodbye.